You know what a notmar is, therefore we have one. Give the mariners a heads up that we're approaching, and you won't believe how soon the date indicates. Today we want to analyze the data, and give you an outlook on the implications, and what to expect for the first flight, as well as to address your question, will I be able to see Starship on the night sky? Recently released marine notices give us a better idea of how Starship will fly on its inaugural test flight. As we most recently witnessed, during Relativity's attempt to launch their Terran rocket, on the same day, violations of these zones typically result in a hold or a scrub for the launch. Marine hazard zones were issued for the area east of Brownsville, and a region close to Hawaii. These marine hazard zones warn people not to enter a particular area. During a rocket launch, as it could pose a danger to themselves, and harm to their vehicles. The posted zones confirm our understanding of the trajectory for Starship Flight 1. The first zone begins in Brownsville and travels southeast. It will encompass the booster's re-entry and splashdown, as well as a backup zone in case something goes wrong. Parts would fall as rain. Demo 2 showed us in the splashdown zone that individuals enjoy getting up close to spaceflight hardware, despite being specifically instructed not to do so by following the route eastward. The flight will make one narrow pass via Florida, the Bahamas, and Cuba. After that, the flight path would travel southeast over the Atlantic, the southern half of Africa, and Madagascar before turning north, and flying over Indonesia and Australia, before crossing the Indo-Pacific. Following re-entry from space, a Starship is planning to splash down north of Kauai, Hawaii. According to the FAA's current operations plan alert, the launch window would open at 7 a.m. and close at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. There is no doubt that SpaceX appears to be attempting a launch during the morning, just after sunrise, so barring any morning fog it should give us incredible views during launch. The FAA's Mexican character part of the agency, a Federal de Aviación Civil, or as we say in Spanish, these notices obviously cover Mexican airspace, but they support the pre-existing American, no terms as they have the exact same windows. NASA's also send high-altitude imagery aircraft to record Starship first orbital launch. One of the space agency's WB-57 aircraft has begun circling above the launch site. NASA uses the WB-57 in a variety of ways, but it often captures video and imagery of rocket launches and spacecraft re-entering. However, let's first discuss certain orbital characteristics, based on this facts and other suggestions, as Mars is not involved. It is possible to make educated guesses about certain of Starship's orbital parameters. Dr. McDowell estimates that the ship would have a perigee of roughly 50 kilometers, and an apogee outside the atmosphere at a 26.36° inclination, although we are unsure of that information just yet. This is not regarded as a stable orbit. Without putting the Starship into a stable orbit around Earth, the mission would be used to demonstrate its theoretical orbital capabilities. Stable orbits with payloads would then be achieved on subsequent flights. This is nothing new and has always been the plan, but given SpaceX's propensity to change things, it's encouraging to have regulatory confirmation of this flight's course. Another question you might have is, where can I see this? First, the bad news, if you are European, like me or a Canadian, and live in the north of the United States. Almost of Asia, most of South America, most of Northern Africa, the Middle East, or Antarctica, you have no chance of seeing Starship in the orbital test flight. However, if you are in South Florida, Cuba, the Bahamas, and depending on visibility, even places like Utah and Louisiana. You may be able if you live in Mississippi or Alabama, you might see the actual launch. However, whether you can see Starship in space after that depends on a number of things. The issue areas like Northern Australia or South Africa, where it may be dark during the orbital flight, based on the times published in the hazard zones. May need some luck that the Starship shows the reflective steel side while passing. If the ship is high enough and reflects the sunlight, it may appear as a shiny white dot over your head in the night sky. The only issue is that Hawaii is at the end of the re-entry, which may mean that the ship is already relatively low above the horizon, and it is no longer growing while re-entering. The hazard zone for the Hawaii Pacific area is also quite long, and it hasn't been detailed with areas of this zone, which are most likely to be the most dangerous. Although there has been some uncertainty in the past, regarding the booster possibly being landed on the first flight. It appears from this notice that it will perform a nominal splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico, and the attempt to catch a Super Heavy on the chopsticks will happen later in the program. However, a yarding for the first launch was always an ambitious goal. But the combination of Starship and V2.0 satellites could eventually reduce the relative cost of Starlink launch operations by a factor of 5 to 10. If Starlink V2.0 satellites are actually cheaper to manufacture per unit of throughput than V1.5 satellites, which is not implausible once mass production begins, those savings will deepen. If Starship can quickly mature and becomes fully and efficiently reusable, the equation could become even more favorable. Still, loading Starship with satellites is going to be no minor feat, and will add a significant amount of complexity and risk relative to the methods SpaceX currently uses for Falcon 9 Starlink launches. SpaceX's initial Starship payload bay design is a roughly square enclosure that slots just above the ship's uppermost tank dome, and below its inward curving nose cone. For a render of the mechanism released last month, it measures about 9 meters 30 featuring tall, and 8 meters 26 featuring wide, can store up to 54 Starlink V2.0 satellites, and dispenses pairs of satellites. Through a relatively tiny payload bay door, that's only wide enough for the task at hand. Starship's airframe is almost exclusively welded together. Once the nose cone and payload bay are installed on top of a ship, the only way to access the interior of the bay is through the dispenser door, or an even smaller human-sized access port. SpaceX's solution: build a mobile satellite storage box that will be lifted by crane or launch tower arms dozens to hundreds of feet off the ground, and use the payload bay's own dispenser mechanism in reverse to load satellites like bullets into a giant magazine. If that sounds simple, which it shouldn't, it's not. It's great, then, to see SpaceX apparently practicing that process with some of the first Starlink V2.0 prototypes. In photos captured on July 18, workers were spotted loading several satellites into the only existing loader inside one of Starbase's 3 main factory tents. Each satellite was lifted using a load spreader device that was presumably required to prevent the extremely long and thin satellites from bending too much in the middle during the lift. It's unclear whether SpaceX is solely practicing the process, or if it's actually installing satellites well in advance for loading onto a Starship prototype. Back in August 2021, I surmised that just like it has with Falcon 9, SpaceX would again try to optimize its new Starlink V2.0 satellite design to take maximum advantage of Starship's launch performance. In an updated Starlink Gen 2 filing, the company conveniently revealed that a version of the constellation optimized for Starship would be structured such that the rocket could launch an entire orbital plane, one ring of satellites spaced evenly around the Earth in one go. In that constellation variant, all but approximately 500, 1.5% of almost 30,000 spacecraft, would be stationed in planes of 110 or 120 satellites. Meaning that it was safe to assume that SpaceX meant that every Starship would nominally carry 110 to 120 satellites.